friends. We were talking about greatest boxers of all time. I think I have just mentioned Marvin Hagler and Sugar Ray Leonard, and also Tommy Hearns. And you know, those three have to be in any conversation about boxing, because here's this guy's. First of all, Tommy Hearns, the Motor City Cobra, trained by Manny Stewart, one of the greatest boxing trainers of all time, and a class act. What a guy, man. You want to talk about boxing, we're going to do one on trainers, another video on trainers, but you want to talk about class and boxing, but a human being. What a guy, man. Manny Stewart. That was a tremendous loss when he died. And I have a theory that back in the day, they did not test for some of the stuff that they test now, for blood-borne illnesses and stuff. And I see a lot of this athletes dying from liver problems and cancers and stuff. I don't think they had tests back then for Hep C and the new hepatitis viruses that they're out. They're retroviruses. And we saw, what was his name? Joe Frazier died from liver illness. I don't think they were testing for that stuff back in the day. So maybe some of that stuff, they got infected. Remember, that stuff takes 30 years to kill a human, the strains that are not as aggressive. So maybe, that's what happened to some of these people. I'm not saying that's what happened to them, but, you got to give it to these people. They really took a lot of people under their wing. And Tommy Hearns, when Tommy Hearns went to the ring, he was just a skinny kid, lanky kid. And Manny Stewart said that, the first time he got in the ring to spar, he got his nose broken, bleeding and all that stuff. And he said Tommy went to the corner, placed his nose back into place and put it back into place, and got back in the ring again, and kept fighting, got his ass whooped all the time in the ring until Manny taught him how to fight, and it was all guts, man. He was never scared to duke it out with anybody, and he knew, people think Tommy Hearns had a glass chin. I beg to differ. You have to understand, the people that knocked Tommy Hearns out weren't chumps. You're talking about Marvin Hagler, one of the nastiest left hooks in history in that division. And he was fighting at the middleweight division so you're talking about a guy who started fighting, I believe, in the 130s, and he goes up to the 160 or 154 or something like that, 160. And, that's a considerable amount of difference in punch and power. And then you're talking about, fighting. He got knocked out by Sugar Ray Leonard, and it was one of the late rounds, and I think they were fighting 15 rounds back then. And the gloves they were using were none of the gloves they're using now. They were probably 8-ounce gloves. That's like having a bag glove and hitting somebody with that. That's almost actually more than full power. If you hit somebody with your bare knuckles, you're going to break it. But if you you can't put all the power in it, because you're going to break your bones. But if you put an 8-ounce glove with wrapping on your hands and tape and all the stuff to protect your hand on it, you can crank a lot of power. You can go full power in somebody, deliver a lot more pain and a lot more pressure and impact with a glove on than without a glove on. So you imagine this. These are trained killers. What got in the ring back in those days. So when you talk about the conversation's greatest boxer of all time, you have to have Marvin Hagler, Tommy Hearns, which, by the way, have one of the most nasty straight rights in the business. Here's another one, another monster of all time that has to be really high in the top 100 boxers of all time. Roberto Duran. Roberto Mano de Piedra Duran, hands of stone. He fought in the lightweights. In lightweights, he was untouchable. Nobody could stand in front of him. He would hit people and knock them out with little hooks. And he turned his whole body when he threw the combination, that 1-2 combination, and he was fast too. This guy was really fast, lots of power, and balls of fucking steel. This is if you want to see real boxing, real fights, you see any of the Roberto Duran fights when he fought, Leonard. The first fight with Sugar Ray Leonard, when he fought Sugar Ray Leonard in the first fight, he took him to school. He beat the shit out of Sugar Ray Leonard. Not bad. He beat him bad. I mean, mauled him. Here's the difference between fighters nowadays. This guy's rarely clinched. This guy's very rarely clinched. Maybe if they found themselves in an awkward position, they would, or they got in trouble, they would a little, and then to separate, but they wouldn't go specifically to grab. It was because they were maybe out of place in the combination, or they tripped or something, but to protect themselves. But it wasn't part of their tactic. Part of their tactic was not holding. People say that, what about Mike Tyson? Mike Tyson has to be really high in the conversation. Mike Tyson, he was a protege of Cus D'Amato. Cus D'Amato turned him into a beast. As far as his skills, I've seen him. I saw a video of Mike Tyson doing shadow by himself in front of a camera with raps, with just his raps on, and this was art. When you see a great performance by a craftsman, let's say you're watching Mickey Rourke do one of his acting. When you see this guy that played in Batman, his name will come to me later on. I think he did a movie. Gary Oldman is his name. Gary Oldman. When you see Gary Oldman playing, the first time I saw Gary Oldman working, doing his craft, when he did, I think it was Romeo is Bleeding. That was a film noir that where this man, when he was acting, it gave you chills. A performance. I liken Mike Tyson's, that video of him doing shadow boxing with his wraps on his hands when he was right before he exploded into the scene, right before he became a champion in training. I liken watching him do shadow boxing to a performance from Marlon Brando. It was that type of profound moment of art and expression. It was, befuddling. It was amazing. You can, to see this man do his craft and the way he moved his body in the shots, short shots, fast, strong. That's what Mike Tyson brought to the boxing world. He brought speed, ferocity, and art back into boxing. Something that we had not seen since Muhammad Ali. Since when Muhammad Ali danced in front of his opponent in a ring and just peppered him with hard, straight, fast punches until he could do no more. Mike Tyson brought it to another level as far as the ferocity of it and the complete abandon inside the ring. I don't know if you've seen the sparring sessions from Mike Tyson. They're brutal. They're when he fought McCallum, his sparring partner for years, they held no punches back. They were hard, I'm gonna knock you out, sparring sessions just like he fought. They both went for each other's head to take it off. So Mike Tyson is really high in the greatest of all time. People say that they fought that he didn't fight tough opposition. I beg to differ. He fought some badass motherfuckers, and oldest people could punch. He fought. I've seen Mike Tyson get hit with punches that would knock out a mule, a horse, and he would continue to attack his opponent, go through punches that would knock out a normal human being. And he was only 5'11", you know, he's 1 inch higher than me, but he was all muscle and explosion and power in an art form. So I consider Mike Tyson's one of the greatest of all time. With all the criticism, and you have to understand, this kid grew up in the streets, and he had to learn how to defend himself. No father figure, he had to survive, and then on top of that, he had to deal with a lot of criticism from a bunch of racist assholes in the business, and also from the fans, a bunch of morons who hated him. He was predated upon by Don King, by what was the bimbo that he married, his first Robin or whatever her name is, and all these people, trying to get something out of him. But luckily now he's doing good, and I wish him the best. He's promoting and all that stuff, and I hope he continues to reap success. But we'll talk about some more people the next video.